Welcome back to our chilling series exploring the haunted corners of the Palmetto State, where history and horror intertwine in ways that defy explanation. In this fourth installment of Most Haunted Places in South Carolina, we delve deeper into the shadows cast by ghostly legends, uncovering tales so spine-tingling they'll leave you questioning the boundaries between the living and the dead. From antebellum mansions steeped in tragedy to Civil War battlefields soaked with blood, South Carolina is a treasure trove of spectral stories rooted in betrayal, loss, and unrelenting sorrow. South Carolina's haunted places are more than just locations. They're vessels carrying the echoes of lives lived and lost. These sites bear witness to events that continue to reverberate through time, battles fought on hallowed ground, unsolved murders cloaked in secrecy, and the lingering presence of those who refuse to move on. Each place holds its own dark secrets, whispered through creaking floorboards, flickering lights, and disembodied voices that drift through empty halls. Whether you're drawn by morbid curiosity or an insatiable thirst for the supernatural, these destinations promise encounters that blur the line between reality and nightmare. In this episode, we'll journey to some of the most infamous haunted locales across South Carolina, places steeped in lore and fear, where the past refuses to stay buried. We'll peer into the shadowy depths of haunted plantations, explore eerie hospitals cloaked in mystery, and tread cautiously through abandoned asylums teeming with restless spirits. Along the way, we'll hear first-hand accounts from witnesses brave enough to confront the unknown, examine chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators, and unravel the tragic histories that give rise to these hauntings. So dim the lights, keep your ears sharp, and prepare yourself for a descent into the macabre. As we step into the haunted heart of South Carolina, remember, sometimes, the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil, and once you cross it, there's no turning back. The Battery Carriage House Inn, a ghostly grandeur in Charleston. Nestled in the heart of historic Charleston, the Battery Carriage House Inn stands as a monument to both elegance and despair, a stately brick structure whose opulent facade conceals decades of tragedy and supernatural activity. Built in 1843 during the height of the antebellum South, the inn quickly became a retreat for wealthy merchants, plantation owners, and European dignitaries seeking refuge amidst the charm of the Holy City. With its sweeping verandas, crystal chandeliers, and panoramic views of the Charleston harbor, the inn epitomized Southern grace and sophistication. Yet beneath its polished exterior lay a darker narrative, one marked by scandal, violence, and untimely deaths. One of the most enduring legends tied to the Battery Carriage House and revolves around Room 8, said to be haunted by the spirit of a jilted lover named Sarah. According to local lore, Sarah checked into the inn in the late 19th century under the pretense of meeting her fiancé, only to discover he had abandoned her for another woman. Overcome with grief, she took her own life in the room, leaving behind a legacy of sorrow that continues to haunt visitors today. Guests staying in Room 8 frequently report strange occurrences, lights turning on and off by themselves, radios tuning to static-filled stations, and the overwhelming scent of roses lingering in the air. Some claim to wake up in the middle of the night to find their bedsheets tangled impossibly tight around their limbs, as if restrained by invisible hands. Another prominent figure in the inn's haunted lore is believed to be none other than Captain Robert Smalls, a legendary Civil War hero who reportedly stayed at the Battery Carriage House during his visits to Charleston. Paranormal investigators exploring the property have captured EVP recordings suggesting the presence of a male entity whispering phrases like "freedom" and "run fast." Witnesses describe seeing a shadowy figure resembling Smalls pacing anxiously near windows, clutching what appears to be a revolver before vanishing without a trace. The inn's basement, once used for storage and laundry operations, has become a focal point of paranormal activity. Employees tasked with cleaning the area often describe hearing chains rattling and heavy footsteps echoing through the cavernous space, though no one else is present. Some claim to see shadowy figures dragging invisible loads, their movements jerky and unnatural. A particularly chilling account comes from a maintenance worker who swore he felt cold metal cuffs snap around his wrists, pulling him backward toward the darkness before releasing him abruptly. Overnight visitors to the Battery Carriage House and frequently recount bizarre experiences that defy logical explanation. Lights flicker unpredictably, especially in hallways leading to the older sections of the building. Doors slam shut on their own, and the scent of cigar smoke wafts through the air despite the inn's strict no-smoking policy. One guest described waking up to find his reflection in the mirror staring back at him, but not quite matching his movements, as if another entity stood behind him, mimicking his actions. Another recounted seeing a man in a dusty Confederate uniform standing at the foot of her bed, his hollow eyes boring into hers before vanishing without a sound. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Battery Carriage House and remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its rich tapestry of human drama, interwoven with tragedy and loss, creates an atmosphere unlike any other. For those brave enough to book a stay, the possibility of encountering Sarah, Captain Smalls, or one of the countless other spirits said to roam its halls adds an element of excitement and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor crosses its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the darkness that lingers within these walls, or will they become another chapter in the inn's tragic tale. The Woodstock Plantation, elegance entangled with the supernatural in the rolling hills of Aiken County, South Carolina, stands the Woodstock Plantation. A sprawling antebellum estate whose beauty belies a harrowing past steeped in slavery, brutality, and unrelenting grief. Established in the early 1800s, the plantation thrived on the forced labor of enslaved Africans, whose blood, sweat, and tears fueled its prosperity. Today, the Woodstock Plantation stands as a grim reminder of America's darkest chapter, its haunted halls echoing with the cries of those who suffered unimaginable horrors within its walls. One of the most pervasive legends tied to the Woodstock Plantation centers around the chained room, a small, windowless space located in the basement. Historical records indicate that this room was used to punish enslaved workers deemed rebellious or disobedient. Shackled to the walls, they endured days, or weeks, of starvation, beatings, and isolation. Decades later, visitors exploring the plantation report hearing faint moans and rattling chains emanating from the sealed-off chamber. Some claim to see shadowy figures huddled in the corners, their faces obscured by darkness, while others describe feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on them as they approach the door. Another haunting figure associated with the Woodstock Plantation is believed to be Margaret Dupree, the plantation owner's wife, whose life ended in tragedy. According to local lore, Margaret discovered her husband's infidelity and confronted him in a fit of rage, only to be pushed down the grand staircase and killed instantly. Her ghost is said to wander the second-floor landing, her ethereal form clad in a tattered white gown. Guests staying overnight have reported waking up to the sound of footsteps descending the stairs, followed by a deafening crash, as though someone has fallen again. Others describe seeing a pale woman staring mournfully out of upstairs windows, her expression frozen in eternal anguish. The plantation's fields, once cultivated by enslaved laborers, remain a focal point of paranormal activity. Visitors walking through the overgrown acres often feel an inexplicable sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching their every move. Shadows flit across peripheral vision, disappearing when directly observed. Some claim to hear disembodied voices calling out in languages unfamiliar to modern ears, believed to be the dialects spoken by those who toiled under the scorching sun. Others report seeing apparitions of men and women in tattered clothing, their faces gaunt and weary, working tirelessly even in death. Paranormal investigators exploring the Woodstock Plantation have documented numerous instances of unexplained phenomena. EMF detectors routinely spike in certain areas, particularly near the slave quarters and the main house's kitchen. EVP recordings capture faint whispers pleading for help, interspersed with anguished cries. One investigator captured a chilling photograph of a translucent figure standing in the doorway of the chained room, its hands raised as if begging for mercy. These findings have solidified the plantation's reputation as one of South Carolina's most active haunted sites. Despite, or perhaps because of, its grim history, the Woodstock Plantation continues to attract curious souls eager to confront its spectral inhabitants. For many, visiting the site serves as both a pilgrimage and a reckoning, an opportunity to honor the lives lost and acknowledge the atrocities committed in pursuit of wealth and power. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its haunting beauty or the weight of its tragic legacy, the Woodstock plantation offers an unforgettable experience where the past refuses to fade quietly into oblivion. The Old Sheldon Church ruins, shadows of faith and sorrow deep in the lowcountry of South Carolina, shrouded by moss-draped oaks and suffocating humidity, lie the ruins of the Old Sheldon Church, a hauntingly beautiful remnant of colonial-era architecture that has witnessed centuries of faith, conflict, and devastation. Originally constructed in 1751, the church served as a spiritual sanctuary for plantation families and enslaved workers alike, blending Gothic Revival design with the rugged simplicity of rural Southern life. However, its tranquil grounds were shattered twice by war, first burned by British forces during the Revolutionary War and later destroyed again during the Civil War. Today, the skeletal remains of the Old Sheldon Church stand as a testament to resilience, yet they also harbor spirits unwilling to let go of the traumas endured within their crumbling walls. One of the most persistent legends tied to the Old Sheldon Church involves a young woman named Elizabeth, whose story has become synonymous with the site's haunted reputation. According to local folklore, Elizabeth fell deeply in love with a soldier stationed nearby during the Civil War. When news of his death reached her, she was overcome with grief and hung herself from one of the church's towering columns. Since then, visitors have reported seeing a spectral figure perched precariously on the remnants of the columns, gazing downward as though contemplating a leap. Others describe hearing faint sobs carried by the wind, accompanied by the rustle of fabric rippling against the stillness. Adding to the church's haunted allure are the countless ceremonies and gatherings that took place within its walls during its heyday. Many believe residual energy from these events remains trapped within the weathered bricks and charred timbers, manifesting as phantom sounds of hymns, organ music, and murmured prayers. At dusk, when the ruins are bathed in golden light, some visitors swear they can hear the distant strains of a choir and the low murmur of sermonizing, as though a service from another era continues to unfold. Paranormal investigators exploring the Old Sheldon Church have captured compelling evidence of its supernatural activity. Thermal cameras reveal cold spots concentrated near the altar and the remaining columns, where many of the tragedies unfolded. Audio recordings pick up fragmented phrases like "Save me" and "Forgive us," delivered in tones of sheer desperation. One particularly unsettling discovery came when a team member set up motion-activated cameras overnight, capturing footage of a translucent figure standing motionless at the midpoint of the nave before vanishing without explanation. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Old Sheldon Church remains a popular destination for tourists and locals alike. Its picturesque setting and rich history make it a favorite spot for photography and leisurely strolls. For those brave enough to venture onto the grounds after dark, the promise of encountering Elizabeth, or one of the countless other spirits said to linger, adds an element of fascination and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor steps among the ruins, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to face the echoes of the past, or will they become another chapter in the church's macabre legacy? The William Jasper Monument whispers beneath the marble perched atop a hill overlooking Savannah River. The William Jasper Monument stands as a solemn sentinel of valor and sacrifice. A towering marble obelisk built in 1888 to honor Sergeant William Jasper, a Revolutionary War hero who died defending Fort Moultrie. Known for his bravery and selflessness, Jasper became a symbol of patriotism after rescuing the South Carolina flag during the Battle of Sullivan's Island. Yet beneath its stoic facade lies a darker narrative, one steeped in tragedy, betrayal, and vengeful spirits unwilling to fade into obscurity. One of the most infamous incidents tied to the William Jasper Monument occurred in 1921, when a caretaker named Henry Clay claimed to have seen Jasper's ghost wandering the grounds. According to Clay, the apparition appeared as a tall, imposing figure clad in colonial attire, pacing anxiously near the base of the monument. Locals believe Jasper's spirit haunts the site, unable to rest due to unfinished business related to his untimely death. Visitors have reported hearing faint footsteps descending the hill, followed by a deafening crash, as though someone has fallen again. Others describe seeing a pale man staring mournfully out of the surrounding woods, his expression frozen in eternal anguish. Another prominent figure in the monument's haunted lore is believed to be Marion Thompson, a local woman who fell deeply in love with a soldier during the Civil War. According to family accounts, Mary Ann visited the monument daily to pray for her lover's safe return, only to learn he had been killed in action. Heartbroken, she threw herself into the river nearby. Since then, visitors to the monument report seeing a spectral figure perched precariously on the railing, gazing downward as though contemplating a leap. Others describe hearing faint sobs carried by the wind, accompanied by the splash of water rippling against the riverbanks. Adding to the monument's haunted allure are the countless gatherings and ceremonies that took place within its vicinity during its early years. Many believe residual energy from these events remains trapped within the marble framework, manifesting as phantom sounds of laughter, music, and conversation. At night, when the monument is bathed in moonlight, some visitors swear they can hear the distant clinking of spurs and the low murmur of revelry, as though a party from another era continues to unfold. Paranormal investigators exploring the William Jasper Monument have captured compelling evidence of its supernatural activity. Thermal cameras reveal cold spots concentrated near the base and the surrounding pathways, where many of the tragedies unfolded. Audio recordings pick up fragmented phrases like "help me" and "don't let go," delivered in tones of sheer desperation. One particularly unsettling discovery came when a team member set up motion-activated cameras overnight, capturing footage of a translucent figure standing motionless at the midpoint of the pathway before vanishing without explanation. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the William Jasper Monument remains a popular destination for tourists and locals alike. Its picturesque setting and rich history make it a favorite spot for photography and leisurely strolls. For those brave enough to venture inside after dark, the promise of encountering Mary Ann or one of the countless other spirits said to linger adds an element of fascination and trepidation. Yet, as each new visitor steps onto the marble floors, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to face the echoes of the past, or will they become another chapter in the monument's macabre legacy? Patterns across South Carolina's haunted places, themes of tragedy and resilience as we traverse the haunted landscapes of South Carolina. From the opulent halls of the Battery Carriage House into the somber grounds of the Old Sheldon Church, striking similarities emerge that transcend individual locations and histories. These patterns are not merely coincidental but reflect universal themes of human emotion, unresolved trauma, and the enduring power of memory. From the wailing wards of hospitals to the shadowed basements of monuments, these sites share a commonality that binds them together in a spectral sisterhood of sorrow and suspense. One recurring motif is the concept of unfinished business. Whether it's the victims of unethical experiments, or the betrayed trust of patients subjected to inhumane treatments, these spirits seem tethered to the earthly realm by grievances left unaddressed. Their presence manifests as restless energy, often communicated through auditory phenomena, cries, whispers, or disembodied voices, that serve as pleas for acknowledgement or closure. This theme resonates across cultures and belief systems, reflecting humanity's innate need to resolve conflict and seek peace, even in death. Another shared characteristic is the role of architecture in amplifying paranormal activity. Historic buildings, with their labyrinthine corridors, thick walls, and hidden alcoves, create environments conducive to isolating individuals and heightening fear. These structural elements act as metaphors for the psychological barriers erected by those who suffered within their confines, trapping emotions such as anger, despair, and regret. It's no coincidence that many reported hauntings occur in spaces imbued with emotional significance: operating rooms where surgeries went awry, basements where bodies were stored, or wards where patients met tragic ends. Lighting and sensory manipulation also feature prominently in these narratives. Flickering lights, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable odors are staples of ghostly encounters, designed to disorient and unsettle. Such phenomena strip away the comfort of familiarity, forcing guests to confront the unknown. The use of mirrors, a recurring element in stories from various haunted hospitals, adds another layer of psychological tension, as reflections distort perception and blur the boundary between self and other. This interplay of light and shadow becomes a tool wielded by unseen forces, creating moments of visceral terror that linger long after the initial shock subsides. Finally, the prevalence of historical context cannot be overstated. Each location's haunting is deeply rooted in its unique past, shaped by the socio-cultural milieu of its time. The brutal medical practices embedded in the DNA of older establishments contrast sharply with the glamorous yet tragic lives immortalized in urban legends. Yet both narratives tap into broader archetypes of ambition, betrayal, and mortality, ensuring their resonance with audiences regardless of personal experience. By drawing on these universal motifs, these haunted places transform from mere buildings into living repositories of collective memory, inviting us to peer into the abyss of our shared humanity. Thus, while each establishment boasts its own distinct flavor of fright, the underlying threads connecting them reveal a tapestry rich with meaning. These patterns remind us that the supernatural is not so much about the entities themselves but the stories they tell, the echoes of lives interrupted, passions extinguished, and truths obscured. As we continue to explore these haunted locales, we find ourselves grappling not only with the specters of the past but with the timeless questions they raise about life, death, and everything in between. The psychology of fear. Why haunted places captivate us? What is it about haunted places that grips our imaginations so profoundly? Beyond the creaking floorboards and flickering lights lies a deeper allure, one rooted in the psychology of fear and the human fascination with the unknown. These sites, by their very nature, are places of vulnerability. They are where we confront our mortality, stripped of autonomy and control, relying entirely on the expertise of others to heal us, or where justice was denied, leaving wounds that refuse to heal. When these spaces become haunted, they amplify our primal fears, transforming familiar settings into arenas of existential dread. The combination of historical context, architectural design, and the lingering presence of past suffering creates a perfect storm of terror that resonates deeply within us. At the core of this captivation is the concept of liminality, the state of being on the threshold between two worlds. Haunted places exist in this liminal space, bridging life and death, health and illness, hope and despair. This inherent duality makes them fertile ground for supernatural narratives. Ghosts, as manifestations of unresolved trauma or unfinished business, embody the tension of being caught between states. They serve as reminders that the boundaries we construct, between life and afterlife, sanity and madness, are far more permeable than we'd like to believe. For many, visiting a haunted site feels like stepping into a twilight zone where the rules of reality no longer apply, igniting both curiosity and unease. Architecturally, haunted places contribute to this atmosphere of dread through their design. Long, sterile hallways lined with identical doors create a sense of disorientation, while poor lighting and echoing acoustics heighten sensory awareness. These features mimic the psychological effects of anxiety and claustrophobia, making even mundane sounds, a distant cough, the hum of fluorescent lights, feel ominous. The labyrinthine layouts of older structures, with their hidden wings and underground tunnels, evoke feelings of entrapment and uncertainty. Every corner becomes a potential threat, every shadow a possible harbinger of danger. This environmental manipulation taps into our instinctual fight-or-flight response, keeping us perpetually on edge. Cultural influences also play a significant role in shaping our fascination with haunted places. Media representations, from films like The Shining to television series such as American Horror Story, have cemented the trope of the haunted asylum, courthouse, or battlefield as a locus of horror. These portrayals often blend historical truths with fictional embellishments, creating a mythology that blurs fact and fiction. Audiences are drawn to these stories because they reflect societal anxieties about institutional power, systemic injustice, and the fragility of the human mind. Haunted places become microcosms of larger fears, the loss of agency, the misuse of authority, and the haunting specter of mistakes made in the name of progress. Moreover, haunted places appeal to our desire for catharsis. Engaging with these tales allows us to process our own fears about mortality, injustice, and the flaws inherent in systems meant to protect us. By confronting ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena, we externalize internal anxieties, transforming abstract fears into tangible adversaries. This vicarious experience provides a safe outlet for exploring the darker aspects of human existence, offering both thrill and relief. It's no wonder that ghost tours and paranormal investigations of haunted places attract participants eager to test their courage against the unknown. Ultimately, the enduring allure of haunted places lies in their ability to mirror our deepest fears while challenging our understanding of reality. They remind us that the past is never truly buried, that pain and injustice leave indelible marks on both people and places. As we walk their haunted halls, we are forced to confront not only the spirits said to inhabit them but also the ghosts within ourselves, the regrets, doubts, and unanswered questions that linger long after the wounds have healed. In doing so, we find a strange comfort in knowing that we are not alone in our fears, that others have walked these same paths and emerged, shaken but alive, to tell their stories. As we bring this chilling journey through South Carolina's most haunted places to a close, one thing becomes abundantly clear: the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a testament to lives lived, lost, and lingering in the spaces we dare to call haunted. These stories are more than mere campfire tales. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the relentless passage of time. They remind us that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we might believe, and that sometimes the most terrifying truths lie just beyond the veil. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of South Carolina's haunted places yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam, stand in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these forsaken institutions offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond comprehension. There's nothing quite like experiencing the weight of decades-old despair firsthand, feeling the chill of a presence that defies explanation, or hearing the faint strains of voices from another time. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint tap of footsteps in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted places, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Share your findings with fellow enthusiasts, document your journey, and keep the conversation alive. After all, every whisper contributes to the symphony of the supernatural. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.